Sit. Hey, welcome back, guys. Another live workout here with Stuart from MORFIT. We have our lightweights workout today. So grab yourself some light dumbbells, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 8, maybe 10 will be probably more than enough for the workout today. If you have different options, have them handy, because some exercises will be easier than others, of course. We're going to do a little bit of a warm-up together, and then we'll get into our format after that. Won't need that guy today. All right, so let's get started with some warm-up. Here we go. Jumping jacks to begin. Everything's going to be time-based for the warm-up. You don't need to count anything. And our workout is also time-based. You won't need to count anything there either, unless you really, really want to. And 3, 2, and 1. Keep your feet together. Bring your hands down to the floor, knees straight. Walk yourselves out to a plank position. You're going to lower yourself down to the floor. Press your chest up. Might recognize this from some yoga classes you may have been to. And then press yourself back to downward dog. Hips to the sky, heels to the floor. Stretching out the backs of the legs. Shift the weight back forward. Right foot's going to come to the outside of the right hand. Pushing your pelvis forward to stretch the front of the left hip flexor. From here we will add the twist. So reaching the right hand up to the ceiling. We're pushing the body away from the floor with the lower hand. Reaching up to the ceiling with the top hand. Bring that hand down to the floor. Keep your feet where they are. We're just going to push ourselves back. Turning 90 degrees over top of the left leg to stretch out the inner thigh on the right side. Our hips should be over the heel of the left leg. Okay, press yourselves back into that lunge position. Step out with the right foot. We're going to lower ourselves back down to the floor. Press up. Tuck your toes. Let's go back to the downward dog. Okay, we started with the right foot, so we're going to lift up our left foot. Step to the outside of the left hand. Push the pelvis forward by squeezing the glutes. Feel the stretch in front of the right hip. Take the left hand, reach it up. Bring the left hand back down to the floor. And a step out. Oh, not step out. Keep your feet where they are. We're rotating 90 degrees to the right. And stretching out the inner thigh on the left leg this time. Okay, press back up. Back to the lunge. Step out now with the left foot. Walk the hands back towards the feet. Stand up, 10 more jumping jacks. 10 more seconds anyways. All right, bring it down. Okay, nice simple warm-up, guys. We're gonna leave it there. We're gonna get into the workout. So what do we have on tap today? We have a circuit of 6 exercises, 45 seconds on each one. When we get through all 6, then we're gonna take a minute to a minute and a half to recover, and we'll repeat those 6 again. And then we'll recover, and then we'll get 6 new ones. We've got 3 different circuits to go through. Each circuit is about 5 minutes or so. Total is 6 circuits, so we're looking at about 30 minutes of work. About 35 after all the rest. I'm not going to pre-show all the exercises, so every time we get to a new exercise, just make sure you have a light weight handy. Do a few reps with the lighter weight. Once you're comfortable with the movement, then you can go to a heavier weight from there. But we'll be learning as we go together. All right. A little bit more focus on the upper body. Typically our light weights workout is more upper body focused. And let's get our timer going, guys. So 45 seconds, we're starting with a zigzag raise. You'll need 2 light dumbbells. All right, so grab your weights. Zigzag raises to begin. We're gonna bring our weights out to the side. Bring them over or slide them to the front, and then raise them up overhead into an I position. Back to the zombie position in front, out to the lateral raise position, reset to the side. And we repeat those movements. So lateral raise, zombie, overhead I, the cheerleader position, zombie, lateral raise, reset. We got time for 1 or 2 more. Everything is nice and controlled today. Try to keep the neck relaxed. It's a lot of upper body movement. There can be a tendency to put a lot of stress into the neck on these. Try to keep everything relaxed above the shoulders. All right, we got 10 seconds to transition between exercises. We're gonna go into a single-handed tricep press. So 1 weight's needed. Start with the weight overhead. Gonna drop the weight back behind the head and then press it back up. Try to keep the elbow or the bicep close to the ear. So we want to avoid having the elbow drop and turning it into more of a shoulder press motion. If you want to spice this up, some of these movements are fairly, single joint and not a lot going on. You can stand on 1 leg, work on your balance at the same time. You can do some lunges if you want at the same time as well, or just focus on the tricep work. So we're working the back of the arm, that's overhead. And that's our time. Bring it down. We're gonna go over to the other arm. If you want to get started early, get closer to 50, 55 seconds of work, you can start early. And here we go, other arm. Standing on 1 leg if you want. Now we are coming back again for a second cycle of all these exercises. So if you feel your weight load wasn't quite right the first time around, you can always go heavier or lighter when we get back to it. The second round will still be 45 seconds. So everything is 45 seconds today. For the next exercise, we're gonna have a couple options. I'm gonna start with the easier variation and then show something a bit more challenging for those that wanna challenge themselves at home. 3, 2, and 1. Good. All right, so next we're gonna go into a squat. We're gonna start with just a rack position, holding the dumbbells or kettlebells at the shoulders, elbows high, and now we're gonna go through our squat from here. So this would just be a rack squat or a front rack squat. Just keep going there. If you wanna spice it up, then you can press the weight straight up overhead and squat from there. So we're working more on an overhead press squat. The challenge with those is we're trying not to let the weights drop out in front. You want to ideally keep the weights over top of your feet if you're thinking of like a straight vertical line. That requires a fair amount of thoracic and shoulder mobility. So if that's not working for you, just come back to the shoulder. 2, 1. All right, come on down. Weights on the floor. We're gonna do this just body weight to begin. So we're gonna do a side V-up. From a seated position, roll about 45 degrees to your left side or whatever side you're facing. And then we're gonna bring the legs up and the body up. Legs go down, body goes down. I'm gonna use my hand on the floor for balance, but I'm trying not to have my elbow down or putting a lot of weight on that arm, because I can make the exercise really easy by using that arm. And I want the core or the obliques to do the work. So flim flam, if you're out there, you were wondering what you could do for obliques, or instead of a side plank that didn't bug your shoulder, well, this would be a good alternative. Most of the other exercises we're doing today, probably not good for your shoulder, but this will be a good one for side plank alternative. All right, let's go over to the other side. If you did want to add weight to this one, there's a couple options. You could add it to the upper body by just holding it at the shoulder. You could add it on the leg. You've probably seen those before. where you're adding extra resistance to the lower body this way. Either way, up high or down low, is going to create more work on the core. If you just want to do body weight, like me, then you can just keep it on body weight. You can do butterflies instead as well. These are a little bit easier because you shorten your lever instead of keeping the legs long the whole time. The longer the lever, the harder the work. So feel free to do some side butterflies to still focus on the obliques, but maybe take your intensity down just a little bit. All right, that's our time. And that's all 6 exercises. That went quick. So we are going to take a break, water rest as needed, and then we're going to go through those 6 one more time. I recognize a minute and a half is a long time for transition, now that we already know all the exercises. So if you want to fill some space with some skipping or planking or mountain climbers or anything else, by all means. I might lose patience and just jump the timer up ahead a little bit as we work our way through the workout. We'll see how we do. Because you guys can always pause and fast forward the workout on the computer at home, which I should keep in mind, so I don't need to be hanging out here for a minute and a half if we don't need to. But I've managed to babble my way through over half of that time. We've got 30 seconds left. So we're going back to zigzag raises, the overhead tricep press, the squats, and then the side V-ups, left and right side. I think I can go a little bit heavier on some of these, so I'm going to go up to my next dumbbell. All right, we're starting up here in 10 seconds. Whew. Some pretty chill music right now. It's a nice little change. All right, zigzag raises, guys. Here we go. Out to the side to begin. Bring it to the front, zombie. Straight up overhead cheerleader position. Back to the zombie, out to the lateral raise. Control it back down. My elbows are always slightly bent through every movement here. I'm not locking my elbows out. And I'm trying to keep my wrists as neutral as possible. So try not to have the hand bend down that way there. To the front, overhead, back to the front, out to the side, reset. All right, we got time for probably one more here. Back to the top, straight down, out to the side, and bring it down. All right, tricep press. You can always do these two-handed, like 2 weights if you'd like. It's a little more awkward because of spacing. And if you only have really heavy dumbbells and you can't do it with the weight you have, you can always do 1 dumbbell between both hands. Remember, we're trying to keep the elbow close to the ear here. We still want to get as close to full extension overhead, so we want to think of pressing all the way up. Just don't hyperextend the elbow, but you can bring it straight. Straight is good. This does require some shoulder mobility, so if you're somewhat limited in shoulder mobility, a good alternative for you would be tricep kickbacks. Just hinge over, keep the upper arm parallel to the floor, and then you extend your elbow out from there. All right, switching sides. Because that tricep kickback, you don't need to get your arm up overhead, so it's a lot more accommodating for shoulder limitations. Here we go, left side or other side. Here we're going to be going back to the squat work, either rack position or overhead squat. If you're on the borderline of making your overhead squat work and you find adding weight is too challenging, then I'd encourage you to just get rid of the weights altogether and just do body weight overhead squats. So work on the movement without the external load. Four, 3, 2, 1. All right, come on down. Overhead squats are next. Let's get ready. Here we go. We still want to make sure that our heels stay down in the squat. So if you find that your heels are coming up and your knees are shooting forward to allow you to do this squat technique, then I would encourage you to come back here. There can be a number of reasons why you can't maintain the weight over your feet. It might be shoulder mobility. It could also be ankle mobility, so tight calves as an example. Hopefully you can identify what the limitation is so you can work on that with stretching and massage and that sort of thing. All right, that's our time. Side V-ups are next. So on the floor. Now try not to roll right over onto your side, because we have our greater trochanter. There's a part of our bone that's going to dig into the floor. It's really not comfortable. And if you're just straight up like this, then we're focusing more on the rectus abdominis, which is fine, but we're trying to get the obliques here today. So have that 45-degree angle. You should feel like you're sitting on the muscle of your glute, not on anything bony. Again, try not to use this back elbow as a crutch. If you can, have the elbow off the ground and have the hand more towards your hips instead of behind you. Let's go to the other side. All right, 3, 2, 1. Find your position. Again, you can do the knees in or keep the knees straight. Try not to come all the way down to the floor unless you need some rest. So you don't want to use the arm to swing or force yourself up. So keep that arm nice and steady. We're using the obliques to do the work. 3, 2, and 1. All right. That's circuit number 1. We're done. So we got circuit number 2 coming up. I'm just trying to think if there's anything I should show you beforehand. Nah, I think we're okay. All right. I'm going to jump ahead on our timer a little bit here, guys. I'm going to give you about 10-15 seconds for some water. And then we're going to just restart the timer and cut down on this break time. I was way too conservative or lenient on how much time we took for the rest in between rounds. All right, are we ready to go? So 2 light weights. We're doing a standing exercise for the biceps. So we're gonna do a bicep press. So I'll get you into it first. So do a regular bicep, palms facing the shoulders. Now this is actually the start of the position. From here, we're gonna press the weight straight out. Come back into the shoulder and repeat. So it's just pressing out and back in. Because our palm is facing up, that's gonna put a lot more demand on our bicep than if we do these with the palm facing down. So we're intentionally doing this palm up position, and you're gonna feel more work coming through the bicep area of the arm. If your weights are too heavy for you to do this, then you probably have weights that will allow you to do just a bicep curl. So do bicep curls instead. But if you only have the light weights, this is a good way to work the bicep with your lighter weights. All right, from there we're gonna drop 1 weight. Go as light as you can here. We're gonna have right arm straight up overhead, right leg on the floor, and we're gonna scale down and then come back up. So the arm is gonna stay overhead in line with my ear the entire time as I'm kicking 1 leg back and then coming back up again. Remember those birds that used to drink water? They were, I think, popular in the 80s, maybe the 90s. Yeah, that's what we're trying to replicate here. If your weight is too heavy for this, you can do these weight at the shoulder as well. If it's still too heavy for that, then have your weight down low. All right, let's go off to the other side. Here we go. Left arm up, left leg planted, kick the right leg back. If you're trying for this overhead position, then at no point will you see your arm or the dumbbell in your area of view or your visual field. So if you see the arm in your visual field, it's because the arm's dropped forward. So my challenge to you is keep it glued by the ear and don't let yourself see that arm. That doesn't mean just close your eyes. I recognize that would be a creative way to accomplish that same goal. That's not really what we're after. Whew. And time. All right, next one only requires one weight as well. We're gonna have our hands flat on the sides of the dumbbell. We're gonna squeeze the dumbbell as hard as we can, and we're gonna go through some monster walks. So staying low in our squat, walking out to the side, and then back again. And just back and forth. So the lower I stay in my squat, the more I get to work my quads and glutes. But that's not the focus of the exercise. By squeezing the dumbbell together, I'm essentially doing like a press motion or a fly, but a pec-based or anterior deltoid-based movement. So you should really feel that squeeze happening between your hands. Again, if you got a really heavy weight, just shorten your lever, but keep the squeeze going. So hold it closer to your chest as you squeeze. You'll still get a lot of the same benefit. Otherwise, you hold it out in front. Okay, face down on the floor. Lightest weights possible, out to the side. We're going into a super T. So face down, arms out, chest comes up. The weights come up off the ground. Palms are facing down, and I'm just holding. This is really tough because of the length of the lever and the small muscles that we're working on. At some points, the weights are gonna get too heavy. Just drop the weights and just go body weight. Or take a break, and after a few seconds, come back up again. Four, 3, 2, 1. All right, flip over. We're gonna go into a crunch fly. So the weights are overhead. Come on up into a crunch position. So shoulder blades come off the floor. We're gonna fly out wide and fly back in. But you're keeping that crunch position at all times. So we're working the abs quite a bit, as well as the fly-based muscles, which are pecs, fronts of the shoulders, and biceps. If your weights are heavy, you can do a press, but still try to get that crunch in there. If your weights are really light, you can just hold an isometric fly. So don't come up, because at the top we get rest. Hold it down here at the hardest part, and you'll challenge yourself more that way. All right. Okay, that's one time through the second circuit. Very nice. We will give ourselves about 30 seconds rest, and then we'll start the timer over again. So hopefully those are all good. Bicep press. You might find you can go a little bit heavier on this round. The overhead scale, that's probably going to stay quite light if you're going overhead. The pancake monster walk. Any weight will do, you can make it work. Super T is really light. Punch flies, maybe go a little bit heavier next round. All right. We're going to get started here in 10 seconds, guys. Finish up your water breaks. Grab your weights. We're starting with the bicep press. All right, let's get started here. 10. 3, 2, 1. Palms are facing up. We're pressing out, and we're coming back in. If you want to get funky, you could do a bicep curl. and then the bicep press. Try to reach that nice long arm position. The same theme as before. We don't want to lock the elbows out, but we can go straight or close to straight. That's fine. 10 seconds left, and then we have the overhead scale. I'm going to start on my left side this time. 3, 2, and 1. I'm going back down to my lightest weight. So left arm is up, left leg is down, right leg kicks back. Here we go. Obviously, if everyone a balance involved in this one as well. Can you see your arm? I hope you can't. Woo. That one was bad for balance. Almost fell right over. 15 seconds. Three, 2, and time. All right, other side. Right arm goes up, right leg down. Here we go. We have monster walks, the pancake monster walk after this. Seconds. This hinge motion works the back of the legs, hamstrings, and glutes. We don't get a lot of that in our body weight workouts, so we try to sneak them in where we can. All right, pancake monster walk. This will be followed by super tees. Here we go, weights out, squeeze, and monster walk. The hardest part is going to be maintaining that pressure on the weight. 20 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2. Woo. All right, light weights, we're face down. Super tees. Chest down, weights out. Try to hold your weights in that T position as opposed to down by the waist. That's a common thing we'll see. That we hold the weights down here. It's a lot easier because you can pull your lats in a lot more here. Whew. Shoulders are tired. Three, 2, and 1. All right, roll over, back to the crunch fly. Here we go. Crunch up, and fly. I'm just gonna hold them down here, so I didn't grab the heavier weights for this one. If you really wanna spice up the ab work, you can get your legs involved. You can either hold or do leg raises. We actually have our last exercise of the workout is very similar to that with the legs out. Ten seconds. All right, come on up. That's our second round of the second circuit. We are 66% done. So we got one more circuit to go. The only one that I'm going to show in advance here is a half Turkish get-up, because there's a few steps involved in body positions. So if you've never done the get-up before, make sure you watch this here and maybe just try one or two here. So we're going to start on our backs. The right arm has the weight straight up. The right leg is also going to be planted flat-footed on the floor. So same side is up, the opposite sides are down. So my left leg is flat out, my left arm is flat out, 45 degrees from the body. I'm going to drive through my right heel, turning my torso up onto my left elbow. My left hand goes to the floor. I'm going to drive my hips up, full extension of the hips, lower the hips back down, lower the elbow down, and then roll back to the start. So it's half of a Turkish get up to the elbow, to the hand, drive the hips high, back down, and reset. So we'll do one side for 45 and then the other side. Oh, that's our time. Okay, we're starting with a hinged overhead press though. Grab light weights. Start with the weights at the shoulders. You're gonna hinge down and then press the weights out overhead, bring them back to your shoulders. So it's an overhead press motion. If I was standing, it would look exactly like an overhead press, but my torso is not upright. My torso is as close to parallel as possible. The spine stays neutral, so that movement is not me bending at the spine like this. That spine movement, I want to bend from my hips. So I stick my butt out back to get into that position. This is really challenging on the backs of the shoulders. So the weights are going to have to be light, and you might be taking breaks. All right. Hip drives are next. Let's get on our back. Just going to place both weights or one weight on the waist. We're going to drive the hips up and hold this position for 45. So let's talk about this position a bit. The knees should be over top of the heels, or I shouldn't say should be, but that's our default position. You can play around with the feet further back or more forward. It'll change the leg muscles that are working. But I want to focus on driving the hips up from the glutes and pulling the abs down or the belly button down with the abdominals. Once I have that full hip extension, I'm going to feel my glutes working. And then we can add some extra weight if we want with the dumbbells. Just find a comfortable spot to rest them. All right, that's our time. Let's drop one of the weights. We have our half Turkish get up now. So right arm up, right leg up, left arm and leg out to the side. Drive through the heel, up to the left elbow. Left hand on the floor, drive the hips up, all the way up. Sit back down, get your left elbow down, and roll to your back again. All right, let's repeat that. Up to the elbow, hand. Drive it up. And down. And roll. We're here for 45, and then we'll be switching sides. 10 seconds. Trying to keep the spine as long as I can throughout the whole movement. All right, other side. So weight up on the left side. Left leg is now bent. Right arm and leg flat. Resting at around 45 degrees. Drive through the left heel. Up to the right elbow. Right hand. Hip drive. Lower the hips, lower the elbow. Reset to the floor. The left knee, try not to let it come over to the side when you roll. We want to keep that knee straight up in the air. Some people find it helpful if they keep looking at the weight. That helps to prevent the weight from dropping down. Also helps to keep the spine more neutral. So that is a a nice option for a lot of people as well. All right, that's our time. Okay, standing up with one weight. We've got an oblique shake. We've done this with exercise balls in the past. Hold the weight out in front of you, and we're just gonna shake the weight, not shake weight. We're gonna move the weight back and forth. We're moving from about 45 degrees to 45 degrees, and we're not going slow, because then you're wondering why you're rocking the weight to sleep. We need to shimmy and shake it. I don't want to go all the way around, because then I'm not forcing the obliques to fire to stop the body and move it back in the other direction. So if you're keeping it tight and fast, then we can get a fair amount of oblique work. So flim flam, this would be another option for oblique work if you have shoulder issues. It's not as traditional of an exercise, but it'll work. All right, last one on your back. 2 light weights or 1 moderate weight. Start with the legs up and arms up. We're dropping everything down just before they touch the floor, and we're holding here. It's our hollow hold position. If you need breaks, come up with the arms and legs, reset, and repeat. Single dumbbell is fine. You just hold one between 2 hands and go again. The most important thing on this exercise, guys, keep in mind, it's an ab exercise. It's working at the front. So you shouldn't be feeling a lot in the low back. If your low back comes off the floor in this position, it's because your abs are no longer supporting your spine the way they should, and you're gonna get pressure in the low back. You need to stop, take a break, change up what you're doing. You should feel only ab work, not low back discomfort with that hollow hold exercise, or any abdominal exercise for that matter. Whether it be V-sits, whether it be planking, anything like that, we can start to get that hyperextension of the lumbar spine. And it hyperextends because the abs are no longer sustaining or strong enough to prevent the spine from going into that position. All right. We got one more round, guys. So we know all the exercises now. Hinged overhead press is number 1. Hip drive, Turkish get-ups both sides, oblique shake, and the hollow hold. And then we're done. Okay, I'm gonna reset this timer. In the heavyweights workout, we usually do a 1.5 minute rest, and usually that's very appreciated. But with the lightweights, that was a little extreme. Okay. Where are we starting again? Hinged overhead press. Okay, here we go. 2, 1, and hinge it over. Press it out. Try not to press down here. So down here is not a lot of work. Pressing in line with the torso, if it's parallel to the floor, that's where you get a lot of work. Almost there. That's time. All right, hip drive. We're on the floor. Find the position for the weights. Drive the hips up. We're driving at the glutes. We want to also make sure that the knees don't come together at all, so don't let them crash in. We want to activate the glutes and the external rotators to help pull the knees apart. And that'll give us more contraction at the glute muscles. Ten more seconds, and then we've got our Turkish get up. I'm going to start on the left side, just because that's the way I'm facing this round. All right, that's 45. Weights down. Left side is up, right side is down. Here we go. Up to the elbow, up to the hand, Let's get that same hip extension on the Turkish get-up that we did on the hip drive. That's why we started with the hip drive, to just get the brain muscles to trigger that movement pattern for full hip extension. Ten more seconds. One more. All right, switch it up. Right side up, left side down. And here we go. You're gonna see very many. You're gonna see many variations of this exercise out there. Different ways to do it. So exposing yourself to different ideas or different methods is always a good thing. This is just one way. It's not the actual way that I do a typical Turkish get-up, but I'll do this for half get-ups. All right, we got oblique shakes. Come back up. All right, 2 more exercises, guys. That's it. Here we go. Again, tight and quick. If we're rocking it to sleep, then you're gonna wonder what we're doing. If you have a lightweight, play with your levers. So you can shake out long. That's a lot more work than if you're in close. 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. All right, hollow hold. 3, 2, 1. I want you to pay attention to the abs and the low back. What's working here? My abs are tired from this morning's workout. We finished with 4 minutes of mountain climbers and plank jacks, so pretty much 4 minutes of planking. My abs are pretty tired right now. And I could start to feel my low back, which is why I got rid of the weights. I don't want to mess around with my low back. All right, guys. That's it. That's all 6 rounds. We made it through. All right. Let's do a couple quick stretches here in the upper body. Grab your left elbow, pull it across the head. We're stretching our tricep. We'll stretch our triceps out. We're going to stretch our biceps out. And that might be it for today. Make sure the elbow, when you're stretching it, is fully flexed there. We don't want to have the elbow close to 90 degrees, because you won't maximize your tricep stretch that way. Okay, let's switch up. Right arm up, grab the right elbow with the left hand, and pull it into the stretch. So it's May the 4th, which I just realized recently. Didn't give me enough time to plan a Star Wars workout. For any Star Wars junkies out there. All right, release that. Let's go into our bicep stretch. So it's going to be the same stretches on the wall, but we're going to make sure that the elbow is straight, and we're going to have our thumb into the wall. All right, so thumb against the wall. And then we're going to put the shoulder against the wall with the straight elbow and turn away from that arm. And that might put a bit more of a stretch into your bicep than a standard pec stretch. All right, release there. Let's go to the other side. Thumb against the wall, elbow straight. I'm going to leave you with those two stretches, but feel free to stretch out quads, glutes, anything else that you feel you need to get stretched out after the workout. Thanks so much for joining, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed the workout or maybe learned a new exercise or two, or maybe a different way to work a muscle group that you weren't sure how to work it before with the light weights you had at home. So hopefully everyone found something valuable in there. I'll see you guys for the next workout.